Hello everyone, watch this review here with a look at an R2-Q2 bobble, well I guess bobble body, because you know it's more than just a bobble head. At any rate, this is Funko's Wacky Wobblers R2-Q2. This was an Entertainment Earth exclusive, which I believe is long since sold out through Entertainment Earth, but you know, you find them on eBay all the time, so it's not very hard to get a hold of if you want it, and personally I wanted one. Finally decided, you know what, I'll just go ahead and buy one. It was sort of iffy because, you know, I don't necessarily like this format as much as, you know, just a standard figure, but R2-Q2 really hasn't been produced that much in figure form. He was a Build-A-Droid in Hasbro's Star Wars Saga Legends line, but, you know, you'd have to buy, I think it was 4 or 5 figures for that, which happened before, I think it was possibly before I started even messing around with the Star Wars collectibles. That was sort of off the table, and then I guess they had a R2 like 5-pack or something, which I think you'd have to pay like 50 or 60 bucks, you know, to get the one figure you want and 4 other figures you don't. So, you know, this was the lesser of 2, 3, 4, 5, however many evils you want, because in addition to buying those sort of configurations, you could also pick them up on the secondary market. But, you know, I figured paying 10 or 12 bucks for this versus 30 for the other version, which was tiny and stuff. A better value for my money. Better value for my money. At any rate, hold on a second and I'll get them out of pack and we'll have a closer look. As with Funko's other offerings of this type, you know, the blister is sort of removable, so if you wanted to, you could just toss them back in package and use the original box for storage, or I guess if you wanted to resell them, but I can't imagine that he'll ever be worth anything. So, you know, it's just too widely available, not an incredible sculpt or anything, so. But personally, I do like it. I mean, granted, the figurine is kind of cheap, but whatever. Now, you probably have 2 questions. Well, more than 2, but the 2 important ones are, who is R2-Q2 and why do I care about him? Now, R2-Q2 was a R2 droid that appeared on the Tantive 4 at the beginning of Star Wars A New Hope. It's a fact that even I wasn't aware of until I started playing the Decipher Star Wars card game, which I was very briefly into. I never really got the rules or anything, so popped in and out of that. But he was one of the figures included in the Empire side, so I was like looking at the scheme and stuff. I just thought his colors were kind of cute, sort of neat, very different. Because, you know, a lot of the other droids are very colorful. I mean, R2's got that blue, white, which looks great. A lot of them are heavy reds, heavy greens, but he was sort of drab, which I thought was kind of neat. Of course, the R2 units themselves I've always absolutely loved. I mean, they're basically trash cans on wheels, but there's something charming about them. Plus, I mean, who doesn't want a navigator? Those things are useful. I know I love the era of GPSs, and I can imagine that these things would really catch on if you know, we ever had spaceships. So, although granted, the one thing that I've never quite understood about the R2 units themselves is, I mean, wouldn't you just have those things built into your ship? I mean, why would you need one that walks around with you? But you know what? It's cool. I don't think that George Lucas really had that much of a vision of the future, what have you. Now, if you look here, he's got this little thing, which means you can kind of also shove him down, and I assume you can probably just stick him like that if you want to have these sort of crumpled up R2 look. They're sort of not doing anything. But then he also rotates like this, which is something an R2 unit wouldn't really do. I would much rather have him just be sort of stationary, or with just a really mild motion where you can sort of fix him in place, where the body just goes forward a little bit for a permanent in motion pose. So that's sort of how they went. But no. Detail wise, the sculpting is pretty decent, but the paint apps, not so much. It looks like he's got way too much weight up the top here. Doesn't seem to quite all be in sync. I mean, it's just a sort of crappy paint job, but With Funko products, it can be sort of varied because, they try to just wham stuff out for a cheap price point. And they produce a ton of stuff, just like crazy amounts of merchandise every year. And when you do that much, you kind of have to sacrifice on quality a little, I think. If you notice, though, he has his name on the faceplate there, so in case I ever forgot who he was, which I don't think I would, but who knows. The one sort of drawback with this one, I'm not sure if this is going to be a constant with line, but he doesn't seem to really line up properly, but that's sort of a generic bobblehead problem. And personally, I'm not a huge bobblehead fan, but I do own a few at this point. I've never really found the appeal in the whole bobble function or anything, but I do like small collectibles. So, I have phone calls, so this has been a look at R2-Q2. Until next time, folks.